I'm honestly surprised Oda has done the exact same gag for over 20 years with Sanji, but it has gotten so dull and boring that I just can't like him as much as I did before. It used to have at least some level of humor at the start of the series, but after watching him simp for literally anyone that is female besides children for so long without change, it's hard for me to even say Sanji is near Zoro anymore because of this one gag alone. It's even worse because Sanji has such a good backstory with Germa and Zed, and his whole role in Whole Cake Island was honestly so well done, especially with his relationship with Luffy and his siblings. Like, I don't think anyone is arguing that when Sanji started breaking down as he rode away from Luffy, that wasn't a easy top scene of the entire anime. But it's kind of sad because just 2 arcs later, he's acting like a dog for Stussy and Egghead, and it just conflicts with his great backstory with such a weak gag that just makes him look so pathetic. And what's even weirder is that there's a whole bit with him acting like a dog for Stussy and Egghead. It's not even in the manga. The anime studio just added it in, which just makes Sanji look even more cringe and pathetic. But the fact that the anime studio thought that this was a good idea to implement in his character, and I don't like that we might get more of that in the future. And like it just gets worse every time I see it. Like I want to like Sanji. I really, really do. But I just get so dull every time I see this. Because, like I said, Sanji has great moments, and he is still easily a top Straw Hat with one of the best backstories, like I said before. Him being locked away for his kind and gentle nature, refusing to become that mindless droid of a soldier like his siblings for Germa, and still somehow finding a way to retain his kind-hearted personality after becoming that caged rat from his biological family is something so nice to see for survivors of trauma and survivors of family abuse, to see somebody like Sanji in order to gravitate towards and get inspired by that they can do more with their lives. Especially with him then finding Zeph, who was able to luckily raise him as his own son, being one of the only good fathers in all of One Piece, was such a super sweet and endearing way to wrap up his childhood, with Zeph even eating his own leg on that deserted island to protect Sanji and to give him all of the food. It's just something really sweet, and I think that backstory would make anyone a Sanji fan. I don't think anyone is saying that backstory isn't exceptional. And I mean, his fighting style is cool too. I'm a big fan of his martial arts with his legs, and I honestly enjoyed Sanji's style of fighting more than Zoro's. I mean, it was so badass to see him just kick people with his hands in his pockets, and then as he died, he would literally smoke their pack with smoking a cigarette. I mean, nobody's saying that isn't cool, right? But the comedy just kept getting worse. I mean, at the start, it was just Nami, but then you get to Thriller Bark, and then he's jealous he doesn't have the invisibility fruit, so he can't perv on naked women while they bathe. It was just weird. That whole rivalry he had with the user of that devil fruit was not funny. It was just weird to see that on top of, like, Brooke's tragic backstory. And, like, I get why the joke is there. Like, it's happened a lot in anime, but, like, it needs to be turned down so much because it is just not funny. I've never seen somebody laugh at, like, a Sanji joke. And when you compare Sanji and Zoro, as they've always been rivals for each other, like, I'd have to put Zoro over Sanji for this gag alone. I mean, both of their fights are great. I would say Zoro has better fights because he's more the swordsman and Sanji's the cook. But I'm not saying Sanji's fights are bad in any stretch of the imagination. Each arc they have moments where they outshine each other, like Sanji in a Whole Cake and Zoro with his Nothing Happened in Thriller Bark, or his undying loyalty to Luffy that he's shown. But even in that, Sanji has that moment where he tries to die for Luffy before Zoro. He tries to protect Zoro regardless of the bickering. And, like, he is just as a vital Straw Hat as Zoro is, but nobody sees that because Zoro just shows it more. But Sanji has an infinitely better backstory than Zoro, because Zoro's is just his best friend falling down a flight of stairs, compared to Sanji's in-depth and actually expanding upon the world of One Piece with introducing Germa and his backstory being the whole reason Whole Cake Island even happened. And, like, that's the thing. It sucks that Sanji is so cool. Like, he has so many good moments, but he keeps shooting himself in the foot every time a woman's on screen. Because he was, like I said, he was willing to die for Zoro, and he was everything Luffy wanted him to be. But like, we gotta get over this. If Sanji had an arc where like he actually stopped doing this to women and actually became more of a gentle guy and less of a pervert, he'd be so much more likable and interesting. Like, just take a page out of Luffy's book and stop perving on women, and then maybe I could say you're just as cool as Zoro. Like, I would want them to keep all the bickering with Zoro as his joke, with their rivalry always being funny with the moss head and things like that. That was always funny. But let's ease up on the nosebleeds and hard eyes a bit. Because his backstory and everything to do with Germa is all wrapped up. He doesn't really have much room left to grow other than to stop his perverted shit and actually man up a bit and stop acting like a pervert all the time. And like, just to set the record straight, I think Brooks' pervert jokes are also weird, and more so any joke like this, as it's not really funny. But because he's done it less, I'm not as concerned about it as Sanji, as he has been an integral part of the crew since the East Blue, and he has not gotten better at all, besides maybe his relationship with Pudding, but then he got his memory wiped, so it doesn't really matter. And actually, I think almost dying from blood loss because of mermaids is about as bad as you can get. So I guess we have reached a peak and it hasn't gotten worse. Since, let's think about this for a moment. Sanji actually almost died on Fishman Island and would have died if two random guys weren't on the island and didn't decide to share blood. Like, we all know it was a gag to kind of smooth in the way of to show the racism humans and fishmen have for each other. But like, he legit almost died. And like, what if he did? Like, the crew was done. Because you definitely would need Sanji in order to beat every other arc in the future, as he was too integral to the crew, but he almost sacrificed everything, his dreams, his admirations, because of mermaids. Like, I don't know. I just want Sanji to be cool again, and I wish this gag could finally die, but I think we're stuck with it until the end of time, really. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you like the idea and the video, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed everything, and I'll be back next week with another video. And I hope Sanji stops shooting himself in the foot. But that's gonna be it for me, so I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.